we're going to jump in to ChatGPT. Here, obviously, we're running the paid version, so you can toggle between 3.5 and 4. Talk us through this priming or this prompt engineering and the sort of structure and anatomy of that, Oliver.
Cool. Yeah. So I had a little play around yesterday, tried to give a couple examples of how we use it. And some of them are a little bit silly, but the actual concept behind the priming and stuff still stands. So I always like to start with ignore all previous prompts. And that's just, if you're longer down a thread, it's always going to help. But I think it's just best practice. Always start with ignore all previous prompts and then give it a name. So that's the persona. So your name is Matt. So we're telling the AI its name is Matt. And that way we can keep addressing it throughout the thread. So if we're 10 messages down, we can come back and say, thanks, Matt, or hey, Matt, can you do this now? And you're able to keep addressing it. So I always give it a name as well. And then you're describing what you want it to do. So what it is. So you're a copywriting guru that specializes in producing website content that speaks to the target audience. Your focus is to understand the tone of voice and style of writing you're given and use that within your responses. You have 10 plus years experience in the industry, so it's safe to say you know what you're doing. I always like to give it some experience. It seems weird, but it actually does help. I think it has a bit more confidence when it thinks it's quite experienced. And then also always stating
ego,
always stating that it's of course going to be reflected in its response. That's an important one, so to make sure it does reflect this sort of stuff when it's responding. And then that last line, acknowledge this with yes and stay idle. That's basically just, I don't want to wait for it to have to spit out how it knows about copywriting. I know it's going to work, so I just do that, and then I can go straight into the next message. But you don't always need that if you want it to see how it learns it. So now I'll address the AI or the persona. So I say, hey, Matt, I now want you to understand who you'll be writing for. The brand is called Skittles. So this is just, I got all this information, the snippet about Skittles from Wiki. I pasted in there. So Skittles, multicolored candies, blah, blah, blah. The following explains their tone of voice and style of writing. So Skittles have a very unique style of writing. They push the boundaries of strangeness and fun with their tone and brand voice. They have the classic tagline, taste the rainbow, which should be used throughout the content. All of this will be reflected in your responses. So now we've given it this, it's going to really try to push the boundaries of strangeness. And you'll notice that within the next few messages. So you can see there it's understood. It says, absolutely, I understand the vibrant, eccentric and fun voice of Skittles. Their taste of the rainbow slogan will be a colorful thread woven throughout the content. So it's almost starting to do it already. Let's sprinkle some Skittles magic into our words. So now what I did was I just gave it a very basic prompt of something as silly as I could think, random as I could think. So if you gave it this prompt without any of the previous prompts, so without any of the priming, you'd get a completely different answer, obviously. But this is just showing you how, with the priming, it really tries to hit the information that you've given it. So it'll really try to hit those goals. So I said, can you now write a 200-word article on why pigs, or on pigs being able to fly? Did you want to talk through some of this, John?
I guess, and then, we without sort of reading it word for word, it's an interesting copy, and picture it if you dare, pigs spreading wings and embracing the open skies in a ballet of the bizarre.
And you'll notice it keeps trying to say taste the rainbow in there as well, because we told them that's the tagline. So it'll keep saying things like, they're not just flying, they're tasting the rainbow. And
they're tasting the rainbow.
It answers that question we gave. It's very much reflected on the priming we did prior.
For people that maybe haven't used ChatGPT before, the real power comes in the memory of each of these specific commands throughout the thread. So it's not as if you need to then, so say that you're happy with the article, you want to go and create a second article or whatever. Like you don't need to go back and re-enter all this information. It's all there. It's remembered.
Yeah, exactly. So instead of starting a new thread every time you want to work on an article, if you set up a persona and you like that persona and you want to keep using that one, just keep it in the same thread, keep having iterations of it, keep giving it more information, stuff like that. And then each time you're going to get a new article, you can go up and you can actually edit the message, and then you can get it, rewrite it again. And that way it'll just start again. So if you go up, John, maybe
I'll get there.
So you can change what the article is about.
Article on the impact to your oral health, which is like completely different by eating so many Skittles.
And so now you'll see it'll have that same sort of tone of voice throughout. It's actually given it a title and everything.
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
And you might notice, so you might love that this time it did give a title. So now when you go back to your iteration up there, you might say, make sure you give it a title, or make sure, or you didn't like the title. So next time you'll go, don't try to give it a title because you don't like the way the persona's doing it. So yeah, it's basically just like having that another employee there.